What's going on, guys? This is DarkHoleYGO for KGT Connection, doing a deck profile on my Sky Strikers. Paying attention to the meta lately, I've seen Sky Striker Trickstar as a thing. I love Trickstars, one of my favorite decks ever to play. I know it kind of seems like trash, but hey, I like it. So, I did some testing, and I didn't really like the build, although it did take half of New Jersey. So, but second place got Pure Striker, so saw his deck profile, went a little bit off of that, and pretty much most Sky Strikers are pretty similar aside from one or two differences in cards and ratios or card choices per se. So we'll go ahead and just get right into it. So if you're playing Pure Sky Striker, you gotta play 3 of this. It's the main monster card, Ray. She is awesome. She pretty much avoids everything. She always comes back, and there is quite a few ways you can get to her, either through the field spell, Rhoda, engage. There's just so many ways to access her, and when she dies, well, she doesn't really die unless you forget to activate her effect, then you're kind of screwed, but whatever. So you gotta run 3 of her if you're playing Pure. In the Sky Striker Trickstars, you don't play her. You use more of the spells as an engine itself, and then you go for burn and spam and all that good stuff, you know, Borland. So, 3 of her, mandatory in a Pure Sky Striker build. I run 1 Darkest Diablos. Card's amazing. Since Ray is dark, she has a quick effect to tribute herself to go into a Link monster. Like one of the Sky Striker Link monsters. And when that happens, he can come to the field from the graveyard or by hand. Note that if it is by hand, that you didn't need to have this even if it wasn't in your hand this turn, like let's say you draw into it or something like that, like you activate like Ray, you can special summon it, although you probably have it in hand at that point. So really good, 3,000, really good for an OTK portion. Goes in the graveyard, so what? You can get it back out if you just tribute Ray again, so it's kind of broken. I run 2 Ash, because you run so many spells, there's not like a whole lot of room for hand traps, and you gotta make room for more other than Ash. Ash is by far the best hand trap, because it's very versatile, not because of any other reason really. You know, she hits all the main points of deck access, you know, adding the card to hand either through desires or by like a search like Rhoda, for instance. Really good, hits them all, negates the effect, not the activation. So run 2 Droll. This is the second best. It stops every deck, period. Every deck searches no matter what you say. Unless you're playing like 2002, 2003 like style, you know, vanilla straight up deck, you know, I'm a hard draw into whatever I put in my deck kind of deck. Otherwise, Droll is your disruption. Very awesome. Also a huge fan because I'm a Trickstar player, so Droll reincarnation, you know, trash, whatever. Play Ogre, was good during when pendulums were always topping. It's alright. I mean, it gets rid of, if you're playing against Gokis, you hit the firewall with Ogre, and it kind of disrupts them unless they have like a Monster Born or something. Definitely in that combo, if you have an Ogre in hand, you kind of want to wait till firewall happens, because they're just going to keep searching. If you get rid of the Isolde, I mean, they threw 2 Gokis away, so they could just probably make another one. So I usually just wait it out until the firewall, and it usually stops their play. And they usually end up with 1 or 2 monsters on the field versus the whole, you know, U lockout. So 2 of her. Going on to the spell card, you play 3 of the very expensive card, Engage. Luckily I pulled 1 and I got 2 off a good deal. Shout out Instagram. What? Basically, if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, you can search for any Sky Striker card from deck. So you can search for Ray. You can't search for another Engage, unfortunately. That would be broken. But you can search for Ray, you can search for any of your other disruptions, you can search for Hornet Bit, or Hornet Drones, I should say. I usually go for the one-ofs if I need to, depending on where the game's at that point. You know, if there's a problematic trap or spell card on the field, You know, and they have a monster on the field that's targetable, I'll go for afterburners. You know, target monster, and then non-targeting spell destruction or trap destruction. So that's kind of nice. So mandatory to play through this. This is kind of what propels the whole archetype. This is also what propels like the Trickstar Sky Striker matchup as well. This is the main focal point of that engine. Otherwise, they wouldn't probably put that in Trickstars. We play 3 Hornet Drones because we want to see our links as much as possible because they cause the most of the disruption. Because Hornet Drone special summons a token. If you control no monsters in your main monster zone, special summon 1 Sky Striker Ace token. That's very important because that means you can go into your link monster because it requires 1 Sky Striker monster. And then also, if you got 3 spells in your graveyard, its attack and defense become 1500. So you got special summon defense, and then if you for some reason, let's say you have like a Kagari or something like that on the field, and somehow you survive the turn with the token, you can switch the token into attack next turn and then attack for 3,000. Well, 3,000 at the least. Kagari gains attack over, depending on how many spells you got in your graveyard. So, very important. Also, main card in Trickstar Sky Striker as well. Because with this card and Light Stage, they can go into Firewall, Lilybow, OTK. So, you gotta watch out for that. So, if you got fucking. I would ash the shit out of Light Stage or something. So, 3 Widowmaker, Effect Veiler plus. Snatch and Steal. Basically, yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Control no monsters. Mainly important about your spells. You can't control any monsters in your main monster zone. So if you got Diablos or if you got Ray during your main phase, tribute them out. Get them off the field. You know, then you can go into your full effects. And this is what part of the OTK for. You know, you snatch their big guy or whatever if targetable. Because their effects get negated. But you got to target first. So they can't be targeted, then oh well. But then you take it, and then you can attack with it, so that's nice. Not once per turn, either, and neither is engage, so you can play multiple engage, you can play multiple Widowmaker too, if you have targets, of course. I've actually used this to, you can actually use that on your own monster as well, if you need to. That's kind of nice. Opponent gave me Ibly one time, and I just Widow Anchored my own Ibly, and I could go ahead and special summon other monsters. So that was kind of nice. So 3 Widow Anchor, very strong card. I play 1 on the field spell. It's pretty good. You're not hardcore dependent on it like Trickstars are hard dependent on Light Stage. But it's pretty good. Basically, it's kind of like a pod duality, but you are limited to Sky Striker cards. Yeah, Sky Striker cards. So if you have like a, let's say you excavate top 3 cards of your deck, you reveal a Widowmaker, you gotta target a card on the field. So let's say this card's on the field, you can target that card, excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you can pull 1 Sky Striker card, and then if you do, you have to destroy the targeted card. So there is some combos with that actually. You can kind of go into stuff. Let's say you have, let's see. We'll go into that a little bit further here in a little bit. We'll do it the opposite way. But yeah, I only play 1 field spell. Not super important. If it gets destroyed by a card effect in the field zone, so it's got to be like on the field, obviously. Sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon 1 Sky Striker Ace monster from your deck, so you can special summon a Ray. So it's kind of a nice access to Ray if you absolutely need it. You can kind of pop it with like a Twin Twister or whatever. So play 1 Shark Cannon. Play 1 Afterburners. I play 1 multi-roll. I don't utilize multi-roll to its fullest capabilities because I've never really had to. But going into like actual tournament play, I probably would maybe use a second one, but I don't know. Haven't really tested that out. Afterburners is a fantastic card. Its price is justified. Totally abused it a couple days ago at work. Just kept grabbing it back with Kagari every turn, and then you know, they play Cursed Seal of the Forbidden Spell or they had Imperial Order out. No, not Imperial Order out. I'm sorry. No, it was Curse Seal. It was Curse Seal. And then they also had oh, what's the other one that's disruptive? Oh, no, it wasn't Curse Seal. It was Curse of Darkness. One of those stupid traps that gone up in price. It actually came in the Layer of Darkness. Actually, I have one right here. Yeah, Curse of Darkness. They used Curse of Darkness where I would have to spend 1,000 every time I activate a spell card. So I'd activate Kagari, get Afterburners back. It would cost me $1,000 or 1,000 life points to take care of the problem, but took care of it just fine. So MVP Shark Cannon's not so much utilized because it's actually pretty good. It's a DD Crow slash like I don't know how else to put it really. It's kind of like a mind control except you take it from the graveyard. So you can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, banish that monster, or if you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you can special summon it to your side of the field, but it cannot attack. So, I mean, you can just like link out or something like that if you really want to go into your links, but I usually just choose to banish it, especially if I'm forced to use it, like with Twin Twister or something like that. More or less, I kind of use it as a back row bait, really. Just kind of scare the opponent. Plus, it's a quick play, so you can chain it. So, I use it actually to get rid of like Ibly in the graveyard or any problematic monsters in the graveyard that like, go to the graveyard, like Firewall. Banish it. They won't ever see it again, so. Unless they're playing DDR. Multi-roll. So a combo I learned, you can, it says once per turn you can target one other card you control, send that card to the graveyard. Also your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to your spell card activations for the rest of his turn. Even if it leaves the field. So if it gets ogred, then that's fine. You still get that effect. It says spell cards. It doesn't specifically say Sky Strikers, so all your spell cards are good to go. You know, if you want to play Rhoda, it's good to go. If you want to play Call, it's good to go. You know, or Foolish, it's good to go. You're not gonna get Ash or anything like that. They had their chance to chain, they didn't. Also, once per turn during the end phase, you can set Sky Striker spells with different names from your graveyard up to the number of Sky Striker spell cards activated this turn while this card was face up to your field, but banish them when they leave the field. So, let's say I have this up and I play these two, they go to the grave or whatever, I can set them back to my field, but when they get used or if they get flipped up or whatever, they get banished. One bad thing about this is if people are starting to play Hey Trunade, so you play these 2 cards or whatever, for example, let's say you play these 2 cards, they go to the graveyard, end phase, multi-roll, you set them back to your field, well next turn they'll play, if they like draw on a Hey Trunade or if they've been sitting on, they can play Hey Trunade, and then it will send these 2 back to your hand, but since they go off the field, they get banished instead, so that kind of sucks. So it's really good though for recycling. This deck is literally a recycling deck. That's all it does. So play one of each of those, and I also play one of the Jamming Wave. Jamming Wave is pretty much the opposite of Afterburners. It is the complete opposite. Control no monsters in your main monster zones. That's pretty much the clause for every one of those spell cards. Aside from multi-roll and Area 0, the field spell, you can target one set spell and trap card on the field, destroy it. Then if you have 3 or more spells, you can destroy one monster on the field. Very important. Set spell or trap, so it's kind of limiting, but if you get that off, you can destroy a monster, and it's not even targeting, so you can destroy a Borreload if you really want to. Or, you can destroy a Borreload if you really want to. So, because it doesn't target when it destroys, it just destroys. So, really good card, I like it, but it's that targeting one set spell trap, or one set spell and trap is really kind of limiting, so. Play one Rhoda, because you can only play one. You can add Ray. Plus it's a spell in the graveyard. Play 2 Called, because you don't want to get disrupted. Droll really sucks to play, to try to play your turn with, because if you get drolled, you're probably going to have to pass turn. So Call really stops that. Play 2 Foolish Burial Goods and 1 Metal Foes of Fusion. You play Foolish Burial Goods, send Metal Foes Fusion. Effect of Metal Foes Fusion in the graveyard. You can shuffle back in the deck, draw a card. So it puts a spell in the graveyard, plus it gives you a draw, so that's kind of nice. I really like the Tune table engine with Tune Can Soldier. One, because it inflicts 500 damage. Two, it contributes itself, so it gets that monster out of the main monster zone problem taken care of. I chose to go with this because I wanted to see how it works out. I see a lot of people playing it. It seems to be pretty popular and doing pretty well, so trying it out. Seemed to be working okay. I did brick with it because I drew in the Metal Flow Fusion. Didn't have a way to get rid of it, so one way you could get rid of it is if you go into your nightmares, you can use it as a discard, so it's one way to get out of it. Play 2 Pot of Desires. Yeah, those are shiny. It's pretty good. I mean, I didn't play it in my Trick Stars because I didn't like it, because it always banished shit I needed, but you run so many spells. Basically, if you could search for Ray, pull Ray, you can play Pot of Desires comfortably, because, I mean, you run 3 of the main spells you need. The other ones are kind of just mechanics to just kind of disrupt your opponent's field per se, and kind of go for, you know, open attacks and stuff like that. So I play 2 of these because who doesn't want 2 cards? 1 up, sorry, you can only do 1. That's a 39 card deck, I think. I think I got 40 cards in this deck. But anyways, yeah, draw 1 card, your opponent gains 1,000 life points, so do not dark bribe this. So for a little bit difference, a lot of people play the Infinite Impermanence. I'm married and I live in a house, so I can't buy this. So I play these guys instead. I play Forbidden Chalice, kind of the same way. Not as cool as Impermanence. Well, they have their pros and cons. Impermanence is cool because if you're going second and you have it in hand, you can play it same turn from your hand. But, I mean, it's just a normal trap, so it is searchable if you play Lilith, just a heads up. But Chalice is cool because you can play it during the damage step because it alters stats. So, you can just Chalice your opponent's monster, you know, chain. You know, if you play Zold, chain this, and then Zold just gains 400 but has no effect, so they can't do their search, and then they can't do their send, their stupid sword. So I play this in place of Impermanence because it's pretty much the same thing. They both have their pros and cons, so you can go either way with it. I go this way because it's a little bit cheaper. So if you're a budget player and you really want to play the deck and you need to invest all your money into the engages, go with the Chalices. And I recommend the Ultras because they're slightly cheaper than the Altis. Play 2 Strike because Strike's awesome. Who doesn't want to strike an Ash, right? Love striking Ashes. So, plus it's a counter trap, so they have to counter with the counter trap, which is kind of, they have to pretty much, everyone plays Psalms, that's pretty much the only counter traps nowadays, so. And then Royal Decree is my kind of take on the deck. I like it because a lot of people's answers to Sky Strikers is like Curse of Darkness, Curse Seal, the Forbidden Spell, Imperial Order. Basically, you go into this and just fucking, you can play for free. I mean, not having to worry about, you know, paying life points, or not having to worry about Engage getting hit by Curse Seal, that kind of stuff. So if you go first, you draw into this, you're sitting pretty. So negate all other trap card effects on the field. So that's it for the main deck. I believe that's 40. I run 5 traps, a shit ton of spells, and then 3, 6, 9, 10 monsters. So if I run 10 monsters and 5 spells, that means I run 25 spells, or 10 monsters and 5 traps, I run 25 spells. So pretty cool. I like it. So far it hasn't bricked. I bricked really hard when I played Trickstar, or Sky Striker Trickstar. I didn't like it, so besides, I like Trickstars as a pure, and I would really wanted to play Sky Strikers as a pure as well, so that's why I chose to go with this instead of mixing the 2 together. If anything, I would probably change the ratios of the hand traps, and maybe an extra afterburner, but that's about it. So we'll go into the side deck next. Play some Goki Hate, 3 Sphere Mode. This is a very accessible card, so I recommend getting it. It's only a few bucks. if you get the super. If you get the ultra, well, then you're probably spending 10 plus. So really good. You can tribute 3 of their nightmares because it's a tribute. So it's a summoning condition. So it's not like an actual effect or anything like that. So it's a requirement. So that's kind of cool. So 3 of those. Have the third Ash, the third call in case I have a hand trap heavy opponent. Play the 3 Twin Twisters. I did main it, but every time I had it, I didn't really need to use it, so I put it in the side deck for now. Play 1 Typhoon and 1 Evenly. Once I get more of these, I will put these in over my other choices. Some of my other choices, I probably have to dabble into my side deck. My side deck's kind of iffy, but I'm pretty content with it as it is right now. Even these really good going second because they build a huge board that you couldn't disrupt in the beginning. You could just boop, go with Evenly. So, Typhoon. Typhoon's really good. Target 1 faceless spell tracker on the field, destroy it. And then if your opponent controls 2 or more spell trap cards and you control no spell trap cards, you can activate this card from your hand. So, it's a hand trap as well. But it's pretty cool. It can be a lifesaver. So I would like to run more of those as well, but I only got 1 of each right now, so that's okay. Run a Kaiju engine. Bunch of small guys because I'm pretty sure I can take them out with Kagari or Shizuku. Because you can generate with all those spells, you can generate advantage over those. So I didn't play any of the big guys because I didn't really want to utilize them to be on my field because then I can't use my spells. So. Play the small guys, that way you can just, you know, go over them. And then I played 2 red reboot because who doesn't want to stop a judgment, right? It's really cool if Ultra guys overplay and have all traps in their back row, all 5 are filled. They activate 1, you play red reboot, and then you negate it, and then they set it back down. But then they can't set one from the deck to the field because there's no room. So they kind of lose out on that free card. So this is a really good card. This is a really good card. So I'm glad they printed it as supers because if they printed it as secrets, then they probably would have been super, super expensive. So, alright, so that's my side deck. Like I said, there's probably going to be some revision to it eventually, but as of right now, I'm pretty happy with it. Moving on to the extra deck. Obviously, you play 3 Kagari and 3 Shizuku. Shizuku makes them lose attack, 100 attack for each spell. Kagari makes your Kagari gain 100 attack for each spell in your graveyard. Kagari adds a spell from a Sky Striker spell in your graveyard back to your hand. And then Shizuku, in the end phase, allows you to search for a spell card in your deck that is not in your graveyard. So if you play Engage, add it back with Kagari. Hold on to it and then go in the end phase and go Shizuku, you can add another Engage, so you could potentially have 2 Engages in your hand. One thing I didn't mention about Engage. Engage is second effect. If you have 3 or more spells in your graveyard, you get to draw 1 card, so it's really broken. And that's why it's $100. Not even 100 anymore, it's 110. So, gotta play 3 of those because they're your disruption. Play the 1 Link Spider. If I play Hornet Drones, I can get out of it with this. If I don't have any more of those, so. Play the 1 Mermaid, because if they give you Ibly, you can just tag out with this thing. It's kind of neat. So I don't really need it, but on the con side though, it does minus 1,000 attack if your guys aren't co-linked. So generally, if you're playing Sky Strikers, you're not going to be co-linked because you're not going to have them in your main monster zone. So I usually would just just go in the Mermaid or negate the effects of Ibly and then get rid of it somehow. Play 1 Phoenix and 1 Goblin and 1 Unicorn. Mainly to just kind of get, if I like Widow Anchor a bunch of monsters or whatever, I can just get out of them with these. Goblin, if I go into Goblin, I get an extra normal summon, so that's kind of nice. So if I have like a Ray, or if I have Diablos, I could just, if I have monsters in the field, I could tribute summon for Diablos as well, so that's kind of nice. Play 1 Borlo, because you never know when you're going to go into that, Widow Anchor, you could play as many times as you want and take stuff, so if they got a bunch of monsters on the field, you could just take them, go into Borlo, and then boom. Trisbana. I've yet to make this fucking card, but pretty excited about it. It's really cool. If a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, banish as many of those monsters as possible. Also, as many spell traps on the field as possible. And if you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each of their cards banished by this effect. So it's kind of good going into time because you can do burn damage for it. So I like Bomber Dragon a lot better. He's cool, but we're not playing him right now. And then the Utopia package, because just in case you Widow Anchor at level 4, you go Ray, go to Utopia, you can attack for a lot, sometimes game even, so my extra deck needs a little work. Kind of iffy about these, because it's really hard to pick an extra deck for a deck that really, you know, surrounds itself around these 6. So, well, these 2 technically, but these 6 cards. So it's kind of hard to pick an extra deck to pick the rest of the 9 cards that you need in your extra deck for it. So that's it for my deck. Like I said, it's kind of my take on, you know, what's going on now. I based it off of a few other people's decks, kind of combined them, and then I added my own flavor to it. So I had Royal Decree, and then I've been choosing to play Chalice over Impermanence. So like I said, gotta pay bills. So that's how you do it. So if you have any questions, or if you want to see anything else, you want to see my Trickstar deck profile, you know, hit the comments below, hit that like button. Support KGT Connection. They're on Facebook. Just type in KGT Connection in your search bar. Based out of Arizona. They always hook you up with the deals. And pretty nice people. Shout out Evan, Juan, Mitch, all you guys out there. Thank you for having me to the team. I appreciate it. These are my tokens, Bandai cards, and then my one custom token of my buddy Josh. Look at that, Josh, you're famous. Shout out Chaos Orcas for this. This is awesome. I'm gonna invest in some more. I got some funny pictures I gotta do. So that's all I got for today for you guys. Like I said, hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Follow KGT Connection on Facebook. Follow them on Instagram under KGT Connections YGO. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm always on there. At DarkHoleYGO. So DarkHoleYGO. Hit me up. I'm always down the trade. Down the trade. KGT Connections is your hookup for all your meta cards. He's got the good deals, so hit him up. He's also got some mats too, so check that out. They have an eBay, so just go to their Facebook page. They're super active on there. I'm super active on Instagram, so you can hit me up there. Again, thank you KGT Connections for allowing me to put this on your channel, and have a good weekend, guys.